happen in 2020, etc. So we're just gonna scroll through some of these, see if any of these people predicted some really good things or some really bad things. I'm sure there'll be some interesting things in here, but if you want to see me do this again, I can certainly try and find some more of these down the line. But let's just have a look. So this is one I found 4 years ago. So this was made in 2021, and it says 5 years from now, tell me which player will be one of the best players ever. I think they just mean like best players in the world in that time. So obviously they mean 2026, but I mean we're 1 year away, so we're pretty much close enough now. So let's have a look and see. This person said, I think I have to go with Pedri. He is just 18 and is a good player. Keeps up with his performance and stamina, and I think he can be a very good player. Well, my friend, you were correct. I'm going to have a look as well. I've got FootMob up just for a bit of context. So let's have a look at like where Pedri was. Was he at Barcelona? Surely he was at this point. So this would be, 2020. Wait, when was this made? 4 years ago, 2021. Yeah, 2021. He just had his breakout season for Barcelona. So I mean, it's not like a crazy. I think we all sort of saw after that breakout season he was going to be a great player, and he has, of course. This person here says Haaland, best youngster in the world in my opinion, and it will grow for years to come. And this person backed up, I'd be shocked if Haaland isn't considered the foremost player of the world and his generation in 2026. Yep, obviously they are right. Again, I feel like this was a bit of a tap-in though. He was probably at Dortmund ripping it up, right? Yeah, he was having an absolutely unbelievable season at Dortmund, so we could all sort of tell Haaland was going to become one of the best players in the world, and he has, of course. No one's mentioned Bellingham. I reckon he's pretty good. Okay, now this could be a bit more interesting. Was Jude at Birmingham at this point? Because if it is, then that is an unbelievable shout. Okay, Bellingham had sort of just joined Dortmund, but I would say he still wasn't like a superstar by this point, so you know what, shout out to this guy, because yes, he is right, Bellingham. To be honest, I don't think many people, even when Jude was sort of at the peak of his powers at Dortmund, then we all sort of thought he was an amazing player, but I don't think anyone thought he would be as good as he's been right now, or at least I didn't, so shout out to this guy. This guy says good shout, add Foden and Mounts. So, I mean Foden, yes, he is right. I think Foden was sort of slowly breaking into the silly team by this point, right? 2021, yeah, sort of his breakout year really. And yeah, Foden of course has continued that and has been really good. Mason Mount though, yeah, this is our first stinker here. Mason Mount, to be fair, I completely understand why he said that. Mount at that point was fantastic for Chelsea, and to be honest, I probably would have backed him up with this. As a Chelsea fan, I was very impressed when Mount broke onto the scene with us, but yeah, since then, to be honest, that's really been the peak of his career so far. Just completely fell off a cliff since then, so not great. Okay. Also have one of the best young strikers in the world, and tons of under the radar ones like Noni Madueke, who is staring up in the Dutch league. Okay, that is interesting. Noni Madueke. So Noni Madueke was at PSV by this point and was doing pretty good in PSV. Now, I mean, shout out to that guy because that's quite rogue. I don't really remember anyone speaking of Madueke really before he joined Chelsea. So, I mean, Madueke got a big move, but this was talking about the best players in the world, and I can tell you now, Madueke is not one of the best players in the world right now. He could still become a pretty good player. And of course, is playing for a big club now, but but yeah, this person was wrong, although I like the sort of shout. I like that shout. Theo Walker. Okay, we got a little bit of, there'll be some trolling here. Setting goal, scoring records, yeah, but more Haaland stuff. James Milner, Zlatan, Musiala. Again, I think that was sort of like a tap-in, right? Musiala 4 years ago, let's see what Musiala was doing. Yeah, Musiala 4 years ago had just had his really breakout into the Bayern first team. And yeah, we could all sort of see the trajectory he was going on to become one of the best in the world. Erling Haaland, again, Haaland. Oh, well, this is interesting. Mbappe has potential, but he needs to be the leader, which he isn't now. A move to Real Madrid and the guidance of Ancelotti and players like Benzema can really help him develop. Well, I'm not really sure the move to Madrid and guidance of Ancelotti has really helped him develop, but I mean, he did go to Madrid under Ancelotti. Let's see, who else? Okay, I don't know what just happened there. Lingardinho, Luis Diaz for the Colombian national team has proven he can lead, work well under pressure and get his teammates involved. This is off the back of the Copa America, doing really well for Porto this season. Hopefully next he can get picked up by a top club. Okay, now this is very, very interesting. Luis Diaz. So Diaz in 2021, he was still at Porto and doing pretty well. Apparently, according to them, had a pretty good Copa America too. So you know what, it's a nice shout, but I think it's sort of on the Madueke level where I rate it because I don't really remember too many people talking about Diaz, and he has certainly become a very good player. But he's definitely not one of the best players in the world. That being said, I rate it. I rate that shout. As I said, I don't think many people were speaking about Diaz back in 2021. And yeah, he's a very good player. Not one of the best players in the world, but interesting. Haaland, Musiala, Chiesa. Yeah, Chiesa, that's a stinker. But I understand the logic because I believe this is just straight after, 2021, straight after the Euros, right, where Chiesa just absolutely tore it up. And I was definitely on the Chiesa hype train as well, but to be fair, I think he had the talent to become one of the best players in the world. It's just been ravaged with injuries. Samuel Umtiti, Messi, Ronaldo, Haaland. Let's see if there's any more serious ones here. Money on Chiesa, Haaland and Greenwood. Well, yeah, I mean the Greenwood one, to be honest, that's not really because of on-the-field stuff. Okay, we got a whole list here. Pedri, Haaland, Bellingham, Mbappe, Araujo, Foden, Mount, Greenwood, Musiala, Camavinga. Right, okay, so we've already discussed all of these pretty much. Mbappe I'm not including here because he was already a superstar 4 years ago. Ronald Araujo. Now that's an interesting one. Araujo, what was he doing? He was at Barca, I'm pretty sure. 4 years ago. Yeah, okay, he had sort of just gotten into the Barca first team. I mean, I really do rate him, but he's not one of the best players in the world. I actually do think, again, one of those where injuries has really hurt him, and yeah, he's maybe not at the trajectory I think we first thought. But that being said, I still think he can be a really good player, and he is a good player. We've already discussed these. Camavinga he was at Real Madrid by this point, right? He had just joined Real Madrid. So yeah, I mean, that was sort of obvious. I mean, Camavinga's not one of the best players in the world, but he is a really, really good midfielder. And yeah, that was kind of obvious. Ryan Gravenberch. Gravenberch, I assuming was still at Ajax. He was sort of having his last few seasons there, right? Yeah. He was ripping it up for Ajax. And I do understand understand why he had said Gravenberg, because he was sensational for Ajax, a lot of hype around him, and everyone was waiting for him to make that big move. He eventually made it, not too long after this post was made. The Bayern didn't work out, but this year he has actually rediscovered himself at Liverpool. Similar to other players, is not one of the best players in the world by any means, but he is still a very, very good player. Right, let's do a couple more here. Any more Frankie de Jong? Yeah, Frankie de Jong. I wouldn't say he's one of the best players in the world right now. For whatever reason, just not really had a trajectory. His career maybe could have had Tonali and Victor Osimhen. Okay, those can be our final two. I don't know what the hell that was. Tonali. Well, was he at Milan? Had he joined Milan? Yeah, I think he did actually. Sandro Tonali. Yeah, he was at Milan and doing really well. I mean, that guy was pretty wrong. Tonali has not become one of the best players in the world, but like others, has still had a good career. And someone has said Osimhen, which could be a pretty good. There we go. Victor Osimhen, what was he doing? I don't think he was ripping it up for Napoli at this point. Yeah, so he had just joined Napoli and had done pretty decent for them. Again, Osimhen is not one of the best players in the world, but he has, had a pretty good career and has done pretty decent. So, yeah, Florian Wirtz shout in there is pretty good as well. But overall, the key players, if you think about the best players in the world right now, pretty much everyone got them. Your Haalands, Musiala, Bellingham, Mbappe, Pedris. No one interestingly mentioned Vinicius Jr. or the current Ballon d'Or winner Rodri, which is interesting. And I'm trying to think of other players. No one mentioned Salah. No one said Salah would still be knocking around at this age, or like a Van Dijk. Those like sort of old timers who are still going. So yeah, that was pretty interesting. The next one I have is one which we're halfway through. So I found a thread here at the start of 2020 where people made predictions for what would happen in this decade. And of course we're halfway through the decade, so let's see how this has progressed, some of their predictions, and if I think the predictions will come true, or maybe they have already come true. So this person says a championship club will be liquidated. To my knowledge, that has not happened. I actually don't remember the last time, it's been quite a while since a team in the Football League has become liquidated. Since Bury, I don't think anyone has. There's been clubs with sort of financial problems, of course, but no one has been liquidated, and I mean, this one's quite unpredictable. Yeah, maybe it might happen, but right now, no. Let's see. What else do we have? The Premier League will have a Big 8. The League Cup in England will be abolished. The League Cup is definitely not abolished, and I highly doubt will be abolished in the next 5 years. This is interesting though. The Premier League will have a Big 8. Now, currently, no, we still have a Big 6, but I think we are sort of coming towards that, right? With the emergence of Newcastle, and Aston Villa, and the way teams like Brighton, Bournemouth, Forest have broken into the top 4s and that. I do think maybe by the end of this decade, Newcastle will probably be established as a top, I guess, Big 7 side, and maybe Villa too. So this person might actually be onto something, to be honest, because we're not really too far away, and we've seen plenty of teams, particularly this season, break into that Big 6 traditional mould. So that's a not bad shout, actually. Another Premier League will have a Big 8. Let's see. Everton finished 7th at some point. They have not finished 7th halfway into the decade, and I mean maybe, but if I had to make a prediction, they probably won't. Okay, on the field predictions, do-fittedness is going to be pretty much standard. I mean, kind of, yeah, like most people, most footballers like at the elite level, I would say are pretty do-fitted. Fitness is going to be more prioritised, as with Liverpool and Atletico Madrid. Yes, that's definitely true. I do think fitness is very much more priority, and keeping in shape and stuff, and all of that in football. Fullbacks are going to be trained as wingers. Defensive mids are going to be trained as centre backs, like Fernandinho. No, this has not happened yet. But fullbacks are sort of now trained as midfielders, so he was kind of onto something, this guy, but just got the wrong way round. Referees are going to be mic'd up by 2020. I think he meant 2030. To be fair, we have started to see implementations of miking up refs. I remember that like Carabao Cup game, right, with Liverpool Spurs, mic'd up ref. So I do actually agree. I think by the end of this decade, in 5 years' time, referees will be mic'd up at games, which I do hope. And we're also going to see more teams reverting to a two-striker formation. Not really. Teams haven't really used two-striker formations right now, although I do slowly see teams going back to it here and there. Teams are starting to do it. Joshua Zirkzee wins the Ballon d'Or. Yeah, I don't know about that one. Europa League games in America and China, I highly doubt that's happening. Champions League will become more of a closed shop, closer to the Super League. Okay, we announced that Saudi will host the 2034 World Cup. I believe they are, right? For hosting one of the World Cups. Is it 2030 or 2034? I think it might be 2034, but they're definitely hosting one of them, so he is right there. Okay. Let's see, anything else? Barcelona without Messi will be a bad team. I mean, yes, there was a period after Messi left, for a few years where Barca were quite bad. They were quite bad. You know, think of like the Braithwaite era and all of that. Yeah, they were really bad. So he was actually kind of right. You know, they were playing in Europa Leagues and that. But they have finally recovered, so he was onto something. Mbappe will go to Real Madrid. Yes, that is correct. Although I think everyone sort of realised that Klopp will take over the German national team. Now, that has not happened yet. However, that could potentially happen in this decade, considering he is still out of a job. And you know, there's 5 years. Maybe Nagelsmann 2026 World Cup messes up, he leaves. Maybe Klopp takes it, maybe. Zidane France again could still happen. I believe Deschamps is leaving France after the World Cup, so maybe Mourinho Portugal could happen. Arsene Switzerland definitely not happening. I think Wenger is done. Zlatan for USA, no. Pep Andorra. Okay. Mike Ashley will no longer be the owner of Newcastle. Correct. Leipzig is going to win the Bundesliga. So that has not happened yet. I understand why they would say that though, because Leipzig sort of had such a great trajectory, getting promoted so quickly and getting into the Champions League and stuff. But no, they have not yet. Do I see them in the next 5 years? Potentially, although I doubt it, to be honest. Okay, this one's troll, but QPR, Reading, Stoke and Sunderland will not be in the Premier League throughout the decade. I mean, so far so good. 5 years in, he is right, although Sunderland could go up this year potentially. And I do think soon will, surely in the next 5 years. Reading, very League One, so he's probably right, and QPR and Stoke are struggling. AFC or its Phoenix club will become an established League One side. I highly doubt it. Rangers will win a title, causing Celtic to invest much more than they are. They'll become successful in Europe as a result. To be fair, he is right. I believe Rangers have won a title in this decade, right? I'm pretty sure they did. Let me double check. How do I? Rangers, and then we'll go to their history. Okay. Okay. So last season they didn't win it. Year before that, didn't win it. Year before that, didn't win it. They did win it. Okay, yeah. They won at the start. And him saying about, oh wait, no, wrong one. Him saying about Celtic becoming more successful in Europe as a result. I mean, the start of the decade was really bad in Europe, but this year Celtic were fantastic in Europe. They were really, really good, so maybe. England will still be nowhere near winning anything. I mean, we were near, but yes, we still haven't won anything, sadly. Alright, let's have a look at a couple more. Let's see. No one will care about this post because Reddit will be dead or unused when this is 10 years old. Well, mate, Netfan Nepenthes, #1 fan. I do get you got a whole video about you, mate. Mourinho will manage a World Cup winning nation 2026. Probably not. Neymar will not go to Barca. Correct. Premier League club will be relegated all the way to League One. Does he mean? I'm guessing he means in the Prem right now. He was in the Prem in what was this? When was this? This was 5 years ago, 2020. So it would be. Wait, no. Let's go over here. It would be the 1920 season. Right? Are any of these in League One? No. Is anyone close? I mean, the only ones in the Championship right now are Sheffield, but they might get promoted. Same with Burnley, Watford, and Norwich. I mean, maybe they could potentially go down, but I doubt it. Joao Felix will flop. Correct. One of the Premier League top clubs will not be regarded as a top 6 anymore. I don't think that will happen. But will dominate the Ballon d'Or? No. I mean, he is 5 years in, yet to win one. Messi will retire before Ronaldo. Maybe. Alright, let's look at one more. Okay, UEFA Euro 20. Alright, troll. That's a troll. We'll see a decline in Barca without Messi. Madrid will still be a force. Man City will weaken, and Spurs. Not really. I see Arsenal and United finally rebuilding to challenge Liverpool, who have some golden years. I mean, yes, he was right about Arsenal, not United. Arsenal have rebuilt and challenged Liverpool. Leeds will stabilise and become a strong mid-club team in the Prem. Not really. Wolves will be successful for the start, but end the decade will go down. That is actually potentially very true. They did start the decade pretty good in the Europa League and all that, but they are, teetering towards relegation. AFC Wimbledon will reach the Prem by 2030. I highly doubt it. Alright, and finally, this is like ancient. This is the last one we're going to do. 12 years ago, people predicted who would be the best players in 5 years' time. So back in 2013, this Reddit was made, and they were predicting who would be the best players in 2018. Wait, that's right. Yeah. So in 2013, people predicted who would be the best players in 2018. So I thought this would be pretty fun because they're probably just gonna name a bunch of players who are like almost retired now, so I can sort of just look back on these old ones and see, judge their careers. So let's have a look. So Hazard has the potential to be up there straight away, a banger. I'm not not sure if Footmob goes back this much, but Hazard in 2013, what was Hazard? He had just joined Chelsea, so we all sort of knew he was going to be great, but yes, of course. I mean, in 2018, actually, that was probably Hazard's best season. So yeah, that guy was bang on. Obviously, Neymar, yes. Goetze. So this is funny, because he said, obviously, Goetze. Now, obviously, it makes sense, right? Because Goetze had just won the World Cup with Germany, scored the winning goal in the final and all of that, but yeah, his career definitely did not have the trajectory people expected, and it's pretty funny that he would sort of assume Goetze was like the obvious one. He was a bit of a wonder kid, but of course Goetze has not had that career. In 5 years, Messi and Cristiano will still be at the top. Correct. Ooh, what? I think Oscar has the potential to be a better player than Hazard. Now, if you remember Oscar, he was a Chelsea player, and he then went to China. But yeah, to be fair, I really did rate Oscar at Chelsea, and he was really, really good for us. But you know, he eventually left to China, got the bag, and spent pretty much most of his career there. He's back in Brazil now, but I mean, no, Oscar was not better than Hazard, although I do think Oscar was a class player. Let's see, who else? Ibra at 37. To be fair, was this the year Ibra? What was he doing in 2018? Okay, no, he was in the MLS. Maybe not. Who else? Alaba. Sure, he's a defender, but darn talented. For me, the best player under 22 and will only become better. Okay, I mean, I like that shout. So what was Alaba doing in 2013? Was he just at Bayern? Yeah, he was at Bayern Munich. And it's broken into first team. Yeah, I mean, he was pretty right. He's been pretty right. David Alaba has a sensational career, multiple Champions League winners, played for Bayern and Real Madrid, dominated with Bayern Munich, played left back, centre back. Fantastic player. So yeah, and 2018, yeah, he was unbelievable and definitely one of the best defenders in the world. Okay, Neymar, Ilkay Gundogan looks very promising. Okay, Gundogan, was this when he was at Dortmund? I believe he was at Dortmund at this point. Yeah. Oh wow. Okay, so this is like a proper. Oh wait, no. I was gonna say like this is like an undercover gem here because I saw he played like 3 games, but it must have been because of injury because he was a regular before that. But I mean, in 2018, Gundogan was maybe not one of the best players in the world, but he was definitely a good player, and he would go on to become very, very good for Manchester City. Was Gundogan ever one of the best players in the world? Debatable. I don't think so, but he was definitely a very, very good player and had a very good career. So it's a pretty good prediction. Pogba reminds me of a young Yaya. Yeah, I mean Pogba. To be fair, Pogba 2018 was his peak, so this guy was technically right. 2018 obviously won the World Cup with France and was sensational for Man United. We all know the story about Pogba, right? Yeah, just had so much ability, but didn't really work out for United. I'm not going to say Januzaj. I believe he needs at least a season or two. Okay, this guy is correct. If you guys remember Adnan Januzaj was like the wonder kid at Manchester United. Everyone thought was going to do amazing. In 2013 was his breakout season as well, so could have very easily said him. I think a lot of us thought he would go to the top, but it didn't work out for him, and he is now at Las Palmas. Okay, let's have a look. Let's see. There's a whole Januzaj debate there. I feel like Götze, Neymar, and Draxler will be considered the best players, but I don't think they reach Messi, Ronaldo, Ibra level. Julian Draxler. Now, Julian Draxler is another one of those players who had a lot of hype around him. Back then, I think he was at Schalke. Yeah, he was at Schalke, just broken through, burst onto the scene. He looked really, really promising. Joined Wolfsburg again. Looked pretty good. A lot of big clubs were interested. Went to PSG, but it just really didn't work for him at PSG, and his career really stagnated. And yeah, he really didn't live up to potential in 2018. Played a decent amount for PSG, but definitely never ever became one of the best players in the world, which is a bit sad because he had a lot of potential. Draxler. Mateo Kovacic. This is pretty funny. This guy's a Chelsea fan 12 years ago, predicting that Kovacic would be one of the best players in the world. Little did he know Kovacic would play for Chelsea and win us a Champions League. Now, Kovacic is an interesting one. So 12 years ago, 2013, he was at Inter, still sort of raw, looked pretty good. That year, a year later, he'd have his really breakout year, get a move to Madrid, but at Madrid he was always a sort of rotational guy. Went to Chelsea, and as I said, was part of a Champions League winning side, and is now playing Man City. Now, he was never one of the best players in the world, Kovacic, but what he was a very, very good player, and still is a solid player. Has won a lot of trophies and has played for some of the biggest clubs in the world, so it's not a bad shout. Ward Prowse, I hope this guy was not... okay, he was actually being serious. Luke Shaw, Lallana as well, oh god. Let's look at a couple more then before we wrap up. De Siglio. Okay, Miro will still be Germany. Who is Miro? Am I like getting trolled here? I've never heard of Miro. Does he mean Miroslav Klose? Maybe, I don't know. Thomas Müller, a lot of people forget he's only 24. I mean, yeah, Müller. In 2018, what was Müller doing in 2018? Yeah, fairs. Müller's been amazing. Pogba, Lampard. Okay, this person has put on whole 11, so we'll run through this 11, I guess, and then wrap it up. So, in goal, he says Hugo Lloris and Manuel Neuer. Hugo Lloris. So, Hugo Lloris, back then, he was not at Spurs. He was... Okay, actually, he had just joined Spurs. You know what? I don't mind it. 2018. Yeah, he was doing decent. Lloris was a fantastic servant for Spurs, became their captain. Captain France as well to a World Cup win as well in 2018. So, I mean, I don't think Lloris was ever one of the top two goalkeepers. Like, he was never alongside Neuer. But Lloris was a good player. Varane is definitely right. In 2018, Varane was one of the best centre-backs in the world. And he predicted this when he had sort of only just joined Madrid, so not bad. Not bad prediction there. Mats Hummels. I gave this some stinkers. Nastasic. Wow, I haven't heard that name in a long time. Was this when he just joined City? Yeah, he had just joined Manchester City and did not have a good time at all, and his career did not take off. He also said Mamadou Sakho, again, a name I've not heard in a long time. So this was, I'm guessing, after joining Liverpool. To be fair, he did do okay. At Liverpool he did look pretty promising, but yeah, like Nastasic, his career just completely fell off. He said Pogba, Busquets, Verratti. That's not bad. Number 8, Jack Wilshere. Yeah, I mean, a lot of us predicted that, but injuries just ruined him, didn't it? Thiago Alcantara, that's fine. Fabregas, that's fine. Attacking mid, Draxler, Goetze, and Isco. Yeah, not the best. Wingers, oh my word, that's an awful one. Lucas Moura. To be fair, Lucas Moura in 2013 had just joined PSG from Sao Paulo as this young, exciting Brazilian, so I can kind of understand it. But yeah, he did not really have the career people expected. Don't get me wrong, Moura was a good player, a useful player for Spurs, useful player for PSG. Had an iconic moment in the Champions League as well, but never ever was one of the best players in the world. Hazard and then Shaqiri. Xherdan Shaqiri, where was he in 2013 when this person said this? He was at Bayern Munich, had just gone there and had done pretty decent, so I understand why they said it, but I mean, Shaqiri again had a pretty solid career, but was never ever one of the best players in the world. I always thought Shaqiri was a bit of a moments player. A big game, Shaqiri would step up here and there, would score some great goals and have some great games, but I mean, look at the stats, right? He just really struggled for consistency throughout his career. Thomas Müller, that's fine. Neymar, Bale, Messi, Lukaku, and Balotelli. Yeah, I mean, I don't blame him at all for saying Balotelli. I actually do think Balotelli, ability-wise, was unreal. He was unreal. He was saying this, to be fair, he was actually saying this when Balotelli was, I mean, like, doing decent for Milan, but had just left Man City. But that really was probably the best of Balotelli, actually. I mean, he did well at Nice, but for me, Balotelli, the reason he didn't work out was never because of his ability. I thought ability-wise he was one of the best strikers out there, but it was always just sort of attitude, work, great desire to be the best, and that, which I think killed Balotelli's career. But yeah, there we go. Shout out to this guy, also said Courtois will be up there. He was correct. But there we go. Those are some predictions from the past. If you want to see me do this again, let me know. If you guys have enjoyed, please do leave a like. Consider subscribing.